Now, our next speaker wasn't my choice. Not because he's not any good, but actually because Sarah from my team saw him at Brighton SEO and came back absolutely raving about him. And after speaking to Fili, I knew that that was a good decision as well. Now, when we had a search session last year, 2 years ago, when we had it in Derby, it blew people's mind. Everyone kind of said there was so much information within it. And believe me, I've seen the slides from the next session. There's a lot to take in here. So I hope you are awake. Do take lots of notes because you're going to need it. Fili Wiese is a renowned technical SEO expert. He's an ex-Google engineer and was a senior technical lead in the Google Search Quality team. And at searchbrothers.com, he offers SEO consulting services, SEO audits, SEO workshops, and happy days, successfully recovers websites from those pesky Google penalties. He's an accomplished speaker. As I've said, he speaks at Brighton SEO all the time, other events like YostCon, SMX London. I'd like to please welcome to the stage Fili Wiese.
Hi everyone, it's an absolute pleasure to be here in Nottingham. It took a little bit of a drive from the airport to get here, but that's okay. If I move a little bit unnatural, it's because I discovered some muscles on Saturday I didn't know I had, because I did the Berlin inline skating marathon. And it was total wet, thank you very much. It was absolutely soaking wet, so I had to balance in a way, and therefore my muscles got a bit sorer than I wanted to. Today I'm here talking to you about search, and specifically how to optimize your website for search. So let's move forward. Let's talk about how to optimize for search. And I'm trying to help you guys get better in search. Yeah, this is why I'm here for today. So let's first, before I'm starting to talk about how to optimize your website, just get rid of a couple of myths and misunderstandings that you may have heard over time. First of all, AdWords. People at AdWords can't really help you with SEO. I can tell you that straight away. Investing in money in AdWords, although a great way of getting traffic, will do nothing for SEO. Search engine optimization, for those that don't know the term. The key thing is, within Google, it's like something of a Chinese wall between the sales and the search department. And even when I was in the Google Search Quality team, we did not have phones on our desk because the AdWords people would call us. Yeah, so to prevent that from happening. And just with that, oh, I have a client that spends 10 million a month, they need something with their website, can you help them? No, go to the webmaster for it. So don't rely on PPC to help you with organic search. Those are completely different things. Second of all, social media, also a great way for brand awareness, does nothing directly for your organic search. So if you're investing a lot of tweets and Instagram posts and Facebook posts, all of those type of things, hoping that your SEO gets better because of that, waste of effort. Yeah? Do it because of the channel, not because of SEO. Yeah? Other quick myth, a bit hard to see here, but SEO is also not magic. People think, oh, it's so complicated, not everyone can learn it if you want to. Obviously, there's a little bit of a science to it, and also a little bit of an art to it, because every website is different. Yeah? And last but not least, there are no guaranteed rankings. Just because you happen to be number one for one query today, at that particular moment, doesn't mean you will be there the next hour, the next day, or the next month. There's no guarantee. The web is changing continuously. New documents get scanned, old documents go out, documents get updated all the time. Yeah? No one can promise you a guaranteed ranking. And we should also not focus too much on, oh, we want to be position number one. I'll talk to you about that later why. So how does Google work? Very simple. Again, I'll repeat it, but it's very important to keep in mind, no website is the same, and Google has to account for that. It's actually quite difficult if you think about it. How many trillions of documents, or trillions of documents that Google has to scan and figure out what is the unique content. Yeah? And Google does this, obviously, with algorithms, and that we see here in a nice black box. What we get out of those algorithms are our search engine rankings. What we have somewhat control over is what goes into those algorithms. That's SEO. In simple, plain terms, we are the input. We control a certain part of that input. That's SEO. So Google crawls the web, and when they crawl the web, it's very important to keep in mind that the first time they come across the website, it's kind of like a top-down approach. Yeah, so they basically take the first page that they discovered. Often, this is like the home page because you register the domain name. Yeah. After that, though, it's like a random legal box kind of thing. It looks completely random that Google is crawling your website. And this is because they have an algorithm working in the backend called the URL scheduler. This is an algorithm that basically prioritizes and decides which URL to crawl next. Now, it does this then, it can crawl a lot of pages over time, it can go up and down, all of these types of things. This is what they call crawl budget. Anyone heard of crawl budget? Yeah, show of hands? A few people? Good. Thing is, it's not just about budgeting, so the amount of pages that you crawl. Because not every page is crawled equally. Google doesn't crawl from A to Z and then starts all over again. Yeah? There's certain pages on your website that Google crawls a lot, and there's certain pages that Google crawls very rarely. Now, all of these pages combine signals go into those algorithms. So we do need to get the right critical mass of pages crawled and indexed in order to get and influence those algorithms and get the desired search engine rankings that we basically want. Google may also crawl pages that you have not had on your website for quite some time. Really, like pages you may have seen this, URLs, they're gone for 5 years already, Google still tries to crawl them. Perfectly fine. But this all goes into that when people start to worry about, oh, my crawl budget is going to the wrong place. Well, this is the thing. We should stop thinking about crawl budget in this way. What we actually should be talking about is crawl priority. And so let's talk a little bit about how we can help Google prioritize crawling the right URLs that form our critical mass that we want to base our search engine ranking on. Yeah? Just very quickly, we need to make sure our website is accessible. You'd be surprised how often that can be the problem. We need to make sure that we also don't return server errors like 503s or 500 errors all the time. Yeah? We need to make sure our website is fast. If our website isn't fast, Googlebot starts slowing down crawling our website. Googlebot is extremely conservative because they don't want to perform a DOS, a denial of service attack, on your server. They also don't want to interfere with actual users participating or buying stuff on your website or engaging on your website. And if they start crawling your website, say with 10,000 URLs per second, which by the way they easily can your server handle that? Yeah, and most, no. There's only a few businesses in the world, if they know it in advance, can deal with that. If you ever want to stress test that, see if you can get an article pointing to your website on the homepage of Reddit. See how that goes. Yeah? You'll get a few million visitors within an hour or so. So these type of things you have to keep in mind. Now Google doesn't want to do that. They don't want to crash your server. They don't want to interfere with users. So they're very conservative. The moment your server starts to slow down or shows signs that it is not fast, they slow down. And that matters because if we can't get Google to crawl pages, our URLs that we want them to crawl, it takes longer for our efforts to reflect within those algorithms. Does that make sense? Cool. If you want to quickly test how fast your website is, how you can optimize for your website, I would recommend checking out Lighthouse. It's built into Chromium, you can test it for free. See how your website performs against that. A lot of the times you'll find that there are opportunities to improve your website with page speed. Now, we also want to make sure that we're secure. If you're not secure, like this particular website, by the way, this is a website, the one that can't read it, This is the ESTA homepage of Homeland Security USA, one of the few websites in the world you would expect to be absolutely secure, right? Yeah. They have a malfunctioning server somewhere because this error has been popping up for me for 7 years already randomly. So, yeah, someone needs to tell the IT team I'm using it as a screenshot in the meantime. I'm not telling them. But yeah, this is one of those pages. Google does tend to prefer websites that are unsecure versus not secure. So if your content is secure, you have again a slightly better chance of ranking. Make sure of that. The other thing that we can also help Google prioritize the right URLs to be crawled is through links. Google loves links. Now I'll talk about PageRank a little bit down the line, but that's not the primary reason why Google loves links. Google loves links because of discovery of new links and content, as well as for determining prioritization which URL to crawl next. Yeah, so it's key. Links are key for as a priority signal to help us help Google better crawl our websites. Now we can do this through internal linking, and in the most simplistic way. I just put a couple of slides in together. Think of your entire website, all the URLs you have, including the ones behind a user login, all the URLs like your privacy statements and other things, or your cookie pop-ups statements, and all those other things, pages that you do care and don't care about. Yeah? Now some of these pages will be nice pages for SEO, landing pages, indexable pages. These are the pages that we want to have ranking, because you know what? From an SEO perspective, these are the ones that can potentially convert our users. Yeah? And what we often do is we link both between the non-indexable and the indexable ones. The ones that are good landing pages and the ones that are not. It doesn't matter how big the gray circle is, by the way. We just don't want Googlebot to spend any time there, or as little as possible. It will never be zero. Don't worry about zeroing it out. Yeah? But we need to make it as little as possible, because we want Googlebot to focus primarily on the part that actually can rank. That's the green block here. So in order to do that, for example with internal linking, it's don't link back from the green block to the gray block. Does that make sense? Yeah? So we need to optimize internal linking that way. A good way, a quick tip in between, use breadcrumbs. It's a great way of helping Google understand the hierarchy of your website, as well as improve overall internal linking. Another priority signal that Google really cares about is the quality of your content. If your content is very lean, or if your content is very poor, or just duplicates, etc., Google doesn't care about it. Yeah? And why should they? Because it doesn't have anything for the user. And the same goes for affiliate programs. It's perfectly fine to participate in an affiliate program. Google doesn't mind you participating in affiliate programs if that is part of the business model. But you need to add value. Simple question that you need to ask yourself there: if there's 1,000 people, websites participating in the same affiliate program, what makes your site different than the other 999? Yeah? Why should your site rank above the other 999? Where's the added value? That's basically what Google wants to see. And if you add that, they're fine ranking. They want to rank you. Google actually wants to rank you if you're relevant, if you have value. So we just need to make that possible. We do that by using and having a unique sales proposition. So every indexable page needs to have its own unique sales proposition. Now, ideally, every single business here should have a unique sales proposition. If you do not have, as a business model, don't have your unique sales proposition, what sets you apart from your competitors? You have a bigger problem than SEO, go fix that first. Yeah? Really, you do. You need to know what makes you better than a competitor. What do you add that the competitor doesn't? Yeah? How do you make it better for your buyers, your users, etc.? Yeah? This is very key, very important. For the ones that, for all those pages that don't fulfill these criteria, we need to get rid of them. We need to add them to the gray block that you saw earlier. These are non-indexable pages. Yeah, we need to get rid of them totally. We also need to avoid duplicate content. Now, you may be in a situation, like for example an e-commerce shop or something like that, where you have very similar products, and it's very hard to distinguish what the differences are, because we're talking about just a couple of words, say color of the product or sizes of the product, stuff like that. This is where structured data can come in to help educate Google what the differences are. Now, so structured data can be extremely useful to differentiate the content to avoid duplication detection or misunderstanding of the duplication. Alternatively, we may also run into this with, for example, localized versions. You may have something in Welsh, as well as Scottish, as well as in English, as well as in Gaelic, Irish Gaelic in this case. You may have 4 different websites of your or 4 different versions of your website, and that's perfectly fine. Or if you go branch out to the rest of the EU while you still can, then you can do that too, perfectly fine. But in that case, we use hreflang to differentiate and tell Google and help Google understand that yes, it is the same page, but it's localized to a certain audience. Yeah? Now keep in mind, just a quick hint on hreflang, it's hreflang, not hrefgeo. It's about language, not geographic location. Yeah? Which means it doesn't always comply to your market, geographic market, because it's not designed as a market, geographic marker, the distinguisher. It's meant as a language distinguisher. Yeah? So keep that in mind. Otherwise, if you have duplicate pages and the content is the same, then ideally we redirect them. If you can't redirect those URLs to the preferred version, we use canonicals. Canonicals are basically a markup within the HTML code that basically says that's the preferred version. So in a simple way, here we have 4 different versions. We can either to redirect or canonicals say that's the one that we want to have ranking. Yeah? All of the values that these might collect from external, internal linking or other places, any reason why Google may have come across these and has attributed some value to, allocate that to the main one, the preferred one, the one that we care about. Now, why do we not want to use canonicals all the time, and why do we redirect? Well, there's a thing. Canonicals aren't the same as redirects. And the reason here is that a redirect is a rule. There's no content. The browser, in this case Googlebot, has to continue to the new URL. It goes from one URL to the next URL. There is no content. So it has no choice but to follow the rule. Canonicals, on the other hand, do present content. So that becomes a suggestion. Google can now say, you know what, I'm going to ignore that suggestion if I think you did it wrongly. So whenever you have a choice, first do redirects. If you can't do redirects, then use canonicalization. Now, Google can still get the canonicals interpretation a little bit wrong, so we can strengthen those signals by using sitemaps. Sitemaps and canonicals, if those signals are the same, so we have the same URLs in your canonicals and the same URLs in the sitemap, it sends a very strong signal to Google saying this is the preferred URL. Now for sitemaps you can use multiple different formats. XML ones are the preferred ones because of all the options they add. But by all means, if that's too difficult for your dev team, because I come across organizations where dev teams will go like, yeah, I can't fill out every field. You don't need to fill out any field. Only thing that Google needs is the URL. So from that perspective, the plain text sitemap is a very quick, easy fix. To still have a sitemap, still have that priority signal strengthened, while minimum developer effort and cost. We also need to be mindful of which server signals we send, because one of the key things here is soft 404. Soft 404s are pages that don't exist anymore, the content is gone. You know what, we're still sending a 200 there header, which basically says, yes, okay, here's the content, and the content doesn't match. Or we redirect them. For example, you have a product in an e-commerce shop. I'll just take the e-commerce shop as an example. You have a product there, the product is out of stock, disappeared. Now we're redirecting the URL for that product to the main category. That is a soft 404, because the product isn't there. So that is a product that should be returning a 404. And Google doesn't like soft 404s. Yeah? So this is one of the things. Now, if you say like, yeah, but how do I still capture those? This is where we come with smart 404s. So basically, you have a 404 page, but you put some content and suggestions on based on the product that is gone. So product X is gone. Well, you can see that in the URL it was product X that they were trying to access. How about you say, sorry, this product is gone, give a 404 status, but then attached to it, here's some replacements. You can still make a conversion, that's not the problem. You just can't serve a soft 404 tool. When your website is dependent on JavaScript, I'm sorry for you, but the good news is though that Googlebot did get a little bit better at understanding JavaScript. Unfortunately, they're not that good yet. It's also very costly. So as a result, they came up with this particular diagram, which is server-side rendering, which is basically saying, okay, you solve the problem for us, and just give us the final result. Yeah, in a nutshell. If that's the case, you have to ask yourself, why are we not doing this to our users too? Yeah? Well, if we can do this for bots, we should also do this for users. And that brings me to the point of progressive enhancement. We as an industry, we're so focused, and especially the developers, you may have some development agencies or other people that work with you that do website development, they all love JavaScript. And don't get me wrong, JavaScript is a great language. It doesn't mean it's always the best solution. Progressive enhancement is a principle that's been around since 2003 that basically says your website, the main content of your website, main functionality of your website should be accessible to any browser over any network connection. Now imagine, 2G, no JavaScript, can I make a booking or complete a shopping journey on your website? Is the answer yes? Great. If the answer is no, which probably for most of you it will be, you have a problem. And that is basically what progressive enhancement is. We have to see JavaScript as an add-on, not as a dependency, but as a way to enrich the user experience when we can, but not make it a dependency and prevent users from making that if they choose not to. And you'd be surprised how many people are starting to block JavaScript, privacy, security, data saving, like Chrome, for example, has built in that it automatically blocks JavaScript at 2G. Yeah, if you're on the data saver part. Does your website still work at this point? Yeah, ask yourself. On top of that, mobile phones, they have very weak processors, very weak CPUs, and JavaScript is very costly on mobile phones because of that. Yeah, so you really need to ask yourself, do I want to make this a dependency versus just an enhancement? Yeah? So first, make sure that everything can be accessed, and the rest is just sugar coating on top of the cake. But we still need to have the cake. Yeah? Alright, let's talk a little bit about mobile first indexing. You may have heard about Google crawling the web, first with the desktop crawler. Nowadays, they do it with mobile crawler. Since last year. Which basically means it's still the same index. It's absolutely the same index. There's no new index. It's the same index. But instead of desktop signals, mobile signals are now counted. Which means not everything necessarily fits that nicely anymore. We do need to adjust our website. Now, if you are depending on dynamic serving, which in this scenario is you have two versions of your website, two different code bases, based on user agents, you show either a mobile website or a desktop website, or if you have like two separate code bases where you have two different URLs, like an m.dot versus www. In this scenario, you need to do a lot of work, unfortunately, because most of the time these code bases are not aligned, and the mobile site is where all the signals, technical signals need to be. So economic will talk about hreflang, all of those type of signals, structured data, stuff like that, all needs to be on mobile. We need to maintain a mobile desktop parity, which is actually quite hard for a lot of these code bases. So, which is why Google has been saying for many years already, go responsive instead. Responsive solves the problem in one code base, everything is there. Yeah? So this is why that one. We need to make sure that our website is mobile friendly, and we need to we can see that if we add our website to the Google Search Console. Now, I'm assuming most of you have added. Who has not added their website to the Google Search Console? Alright, so if you go to, add your website to Google Search Console. And everyone else who has added it, who has added their website in the last year to Google Search Console? Okay, so everyone who hasn't and didn't put their hands up previously and didn't put their hands up now, you probably haven't added your website as a domain property. Yeah, because all the other properties, the previous website property, were converted in what they now call URL prefix properties. The domain property, on the other hand, is the entire website. Now, you may have been added automatically on the domain property if you verified using DNS, which most people don't. Yeah, so double check that. You still want the URL prefix as well, because that allows you to get some additional data, and I'll show you that in a moment. In Google Search Console, you can get warnings across the board, different types of warnings, etc., about how your website does in errors, etc. Also, performance-based. Google will tell you if you've been indexed, for example, on the mobile first, and you'll get nice stats. So, by all means, if you haven't added to Search Console, add it, and make sure you do the domain property. So, check that when you get back. That your website is added as a domain property. Oh yeah, let's talk a little bit about managing user expectations, because now we've talked about the input on one side, that's our website. There's still another factor to everything, and that is we need to manage user expectations. It's actually quite important. In order to get the graph to go up nicely for us in Google Search, first impressions do count. Yeah? Keep in mind, when users come to you to search results, when they type in a query, they get 10 results, just plain basic results. I'm going with that for a moment. How do you stand out there? Why is your search result better than the other 9? What are you promising them? What is your unique sales proposition? What's the benefit for the user? Where's your call to action? Should these pages be indexed in the first place? Of course, also be mindful what else you expose. Otherwise, some people may have fun with the database. Yeah, these are actual results. Like these are actual websites that have their passwords exposed. Yeah, so be mindful of these things. And last but not least, again, it's very important. Manage user expectations. Yeah, tell them what the benefit is. You don't need to tell them 20 times what your brand name is. At this point, they don't care. They're not going to care. And this is new audience, doesn't know you yet. Make that connection later on in the sales funnel. Yeah? Once you have them hooked, then introduce who you are. Then persuade them. Because at that point they may be more interested. Yeah? But at this point they're not. Absolutely not. So, we also need to be mindful that when the user actually comes to our website, we actually deliver on that promise that we made. So, one of those things that Google doesn't like and why we shouldn't be doing it is pop-ups. Including, by the way, the cookie pop-up. In this scenario, I can't see the content because in the middle screenshot you see here, I have 2 things I have to click away before I actually see the page. Yeah? Don't have that. Don't do that. People, if I don't know you, I'm not going to subscribe for notifications for your latest news. I don't know you. Yeah? Do that later in the sales funnel again. When people are starting to warm up to you, want to be part of your process, of your customer base, then at that point you say, hey, you know what, do you also want to sign up for notifications? Yeah? And here's the benefit if you do. Because that's also, by the way, missing here. Because, yeah, we would like to send you notifications. Yeah, great, you want to send it, but what's the benefit for me? I don't know yet. Yeah? So think about this. Do these type of things later, not now. Yeah? Also, if you obstruct the user from accessing the content, that's when Google says, okay, we're going to rank you lower. So if you have ads on the page, or pop-ups, or that kind of stuff, anything that prevents users from directly accessing the main content, Google says, okay, we're going to rank you lower compared to your competitors, if they don't. Yeah? So again, user experience, very important. We need to generate positive user signals. That's the other part of the algorithm that we need to care about a lot. Now, how about external linking? That's a question I often get asked as well. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is obviously Google. Do they like link building? Well, they're not against it. They're actually perfectly fine with link building. That might surprise you, that answer. Anyone here surprised about Google likes link building? Show of hands. Come on, don't be shy. Alright. The key reason is they love it for discovery. Yeah, they really do. Now, historically, they did it for PageRank. Now, you may have heard about PageRank. It helped them find authoritative pages, rank the pages that were the most authoritative. Nowadays, it's just one small part of a huge algorithm. It does have some impact, but it's minimal compared to some of the other ones. Yeah? So let's not focus on PageRank too much. And this is not new, because Google has been saying that already. Don't buy links. Don't buy links for the sake of PageRank. Now, this is the part of link building they're against. Building links for the sake of PageRank manipulation. They're not against building links. They're against building links for PageRank manipulation. It's the last part of that sentence, but it's very important there. Yeah? And they have this in the Webmaster Guidelines. And they have it actually twice in the Webmaster Guidelines, which tells you how serious they are about it. And not only that, it's also not new because they already said it in their earliest version in connection in the Web Archive of 2001. It's absolutely not new. This has been a consistent message throughout the years. Don't build links for PageRank. That means don't build forum links or spammy blog links. That means don't buy guest posting services or mummy blogs or that kind of stuff where you say, oh, I'm going to have someone blog about a product. Yeah, total waste of money. Yeah. Press releases, not a great way to build links. Not for SEO at all. Don't spend any money on that. Same goes for widget links, yeah, or other rich, commercial anchor text, like enriched keywords. Don't do those things. We as an SEO industry have actually broken links. Which is actually quite amazing if you think about it. With all the things out there. So, yeah, we have broken the actual link with search. Google Search Quality Team, of which I was part, is very good at detecting these particular violations. So just don't do it. It's very simple. You will get penalized if you do. If you want to know how to get out of that, or if you want to read up more about penalties, access this article. This is basically multiple articles about how penalties work, etc., how to go about it. It was written by my fellow ex-Googler, Casper, and it's also Switzerland. So have a look there, read through that. If you did do link building in the past, don't worry, you can still clean it up. You can reduce the risk of being penalized in the future by cleaning it up, testing it, and testing your disavow file. Upload the disavow file. This is why, by the way, you want to have your primary URL prefix within Google Search Console. So you can still access some of these other legacy tools, which include the disavow tool. Yeah? So this is why both the URL prefix, at least on your primary property, as well as the domain property, you need both of those. Yeah? And keep in mind, Google is not against link building. So I wrote a whole article about how to see link building, how you should spend your money when it comes to link building. So if you're interested in that, read this article. It will basically talk about the history, but primarily also how to think about link building and how to make it profitable from a business perspective. Because that's in the end what we're really in for, right? So read that article. That will explain most of it. If you have any questions, then just let me know. There's a couple of quick takeaways. We do need to optimize our websites. Get rid of that waste. A couple of examples you saw already. I'm guessing some of the guys here in the room went like, okay, yeah, we need to get rid of that. So I hope you got that. Look at how your website looks, because it's all about input into those algorithms. And we control that to a large extent here. Yeah? So let's make sure that we send the right input. And avoid sending conflicting signals. Yeah? Make sure that we don't send soft 4 forwards, reduce the server errors, or have none. etc. Look at your log files if you send sales errors as well. You know, these are places that you can get some of these details as well. Now keep in mind that in the end, these are algorithms. So it's all about trends. It's not about the individual page. If you have 50,000 pages and 10,000 of those are marked as soft 404, that is a trend. If one of those is marked soft 404, that's not a trend. Yeah? That's not going to hurt you. But the 10,000 is. Yeah? So focus on the trends. Last but not least, you also want to make sure that you audit your website regularly. The industry changes, the Google changes, best practices changes, technologies changes, the web changes on a day-to-day basis. So everything changes. So we need to also check once in a while if we're good. Still good. Even if we're good today doesn't mean we're good tomorrow. So we need to audit regularly. If you have any bit serious about SEO, we're talking about once per year minimum. Absolutely. Now, if SEO is not your main channel, that's perfectly fine, and obviously you can do other things, and that's perfectly fine. I agree with Teresa, like, you don't need to cost everything on all the channels. Pick a few that work for you, but if SEO, if your website, if search is part of that, you have to be serious about it. Yeah? And keep this in mind. If Google can't crawl your website properly, can't index your website because you're sending the wrong signals, yeah? Or you're not managing user expectations, why would Google rank you? As simple as that. Yeah? So, having said that, my name is Fili. As Paul already said, I used to work for Google, and nowadays I don't. And my unscalable solution of what Paul was talking about earlier to connect to you guys is that if you want a copy of the slide deck, go to this website, fill out the form, which is just basically a contact form with name and email address, and just tell me that you want the slides, and I'll send the slides to you. That's my unscalable solution there. And thank you very much.